guys, welcome back to Jurassic Collectibles. The time has come to review this gigantic Tyrannosaurus Rex. This is the 1/15 scale Tyrannosaurus Rex figure from CollectA. It's the biggest figure we've had on the channel to date, and we're absolutely over the moon to review this one. CollectA recently sent over a batch of all sorts of dinosaur figures, some that haven't even come out yet. I'll put a link to that video down below for the unboxing so you can go and check out and see which ones are coming up. But today we're going to be looking at this humongous beast, and I have to say I'm very, very excited about this one. Now, I do have the CollectA catalogue to hand, and there is a smaller version of the Tyrannosaurus Rex figure available, and this one's 1/40th scale, so that one measures in length 29.5 centimetres or about 11.6 inches. So you can get a smaller version if you're limited for space. But today we're going to be looking at the humongous 93 centimetre long or 31 inches long Tyrannosaurus Rex, and we can't wait to get this one out of the packaging. So let's get a closer look at the box and then we'll get him out of the packaging. So here you can see on the side the CollectA logo and a picture of what's inside. Now, we are big fans of Jurassic Park on the channel, and I have to say this Tyrannosaurus Rex is reminiscent of the one that we see in the film. Its pose is actually very similar to the one when the T-Rex bursts out of the electric fences on the main road attack. On the top of the box we've got a convenient carry handle, which is really good for moving this guy around and keeping him in storage. And then at the top we got CollectA logo there, and you can see the CollectA website there, and I'll put a link to that down below. At this end we've got the CollectA logo again, and on the other end we've got a really cool picture of Anthony Beeson, who is actually an expert in paleo imagery, and he endorses all of the dinosaur figures that CollectA make, and he approves each one. So that's really cool to know that there's an expert looking at each of these designs and figures. And this figure is suitable for ages 3+. So there's no small parts, and you can be quite confident giving this to a little one. Okay, so let's break this one out of the packaging. I can't wait any longer. Here we go. So, smells of fresh dinosaur. So inside the box you can see the T-Rex is really snugly wrapped in some soft wrapping, and then inside here we've got a little catalogue, which is the CollectA catalogue, and it just shows some of the other products in their line. As I said in the unboxing video, we do have a bigger catalogue, and we'll be going through those and having a look at some of the upcoming figures very soon. Right, so I'm going to get this one out of its wrapping and we'll take a closer look. Excited? Oh my goodness. Look at this. Wow. That is absolutely humongous. And you can see my hands here for scale comparison. This is one giant figure, and actually he's surprisingly light, so if you're worried about the weight of him, if you're going to get him shipped or whatever, he's actually surprisingly light, and that should make him easy for transporting around as well, so that's really nice to note. But on first impressions, this is a fabulous looking figure. The detail is absolutely fantastic, and actually looking at the packaging and comparing it with this figure, the first thing that hits me is that this one is actually quite a lot greener than it seems in the original pictures, which I really like, because actually it looks closer to the T-Rex that I like in The Lost World, and I really like these crests along the top of the head. They really are reminiscent of the T-Rex from the Jurassic Park series, and wow, this has a real presence in the room, guys. I think if you get one of these, you're just going to be blown away by how big it is. It's just incredible. So let's give him a quick turn around so you can see the other side as well. So there he is from the other side, and like I said, the pose is actually quite similar to the pose when the T-Rex bursts out of the fence in the first Jurassic Park. And I really like that pose. It's really menacing. It's got a lot of contrast in the pose. There's a lot of highs and lows, and I think that really makes this look very dynamic. As you can see at the bottom on the plaque there, it says 1/15 scale Tyrannosaurus Rex, and it's a nice faux stone base that we'll get a closer look at in just a minute. The eyes have got a really nice wet look because they've got a glossy coat on there, and the scales on the head and all over the body are just so detailed. So let's get a closer look at this guy. First off, here is my R2-D2 mug next to his head, and you can see his head is bigger than my mug of tea. I didn't think it was possible, the amount of tea I drink, but this thing is humongous. So let's get a closer look at his head sculpt. Just look at this wonderful level of detail in the scales. Wow. There are amazing pinprick size scales all over this head sculpt. And as I said, they've used a nice level of gloss on the eyes to really bring out that sort of wet look. And then as we go down the head and the jaw, you can see there's a lovely contrast in scales. We've got some nice lumps and bumps, and then we've got the really fine pinprick ones that I mentioned. From the front, he looks like this, and his teeth are really bright white. I might be tempted to do a little bit of weathering on those myself, but I do like the fact that they're so bright and shiny, because I do think he looks more menacing because of the contrast in the darker colour and the lighter colour of his teeth. The tongue and the interior of his mouth are really glossy and nicely sculpted. As you can see here, we've got some really beautiful folds in the corner of the mouth. Really nice, and the tongue is beautifully sculpted inside, and they've also sculpted the roof of the mouth in there. Absolutely incredible. So that's a beautiful attention to detail on the interior of the mouth there. As we go up to the eye, you can get a better look at the sculpt around the eye area. Absolutely beautiful. Around the nasal cavity and the nostril. Absolutely incredible. So, moving down to the neck, I'll just focus, there we go. You can see we've got some really nice folds going on here, and I'll turn them into the light so you can get a better look. You can see got some really nice compression folds here going on in the neck. You really get that feeling of loose skin around this area. Really nice. And then we transition into these sort of larger scales on the shoulder area. So you can see they're more broad, which gives like sort of a nice sort of contrast between the small scales and the bigger scales. And then as we come down to the arms, they're quite muscular and chubby arms, but I actually really like that look. It's a really sort of refreshing take on the T-Rex's arms. You can see all the musculature. If I turn him around, you can see the musculature in the arms and the folds there. And then we've got the little finger claws and nicely sculpted fingers. Lots of lovely little creases in there. Beautiful. And then as we go up the torso, you can see we've got a lovely use of different colours in the airbrushing paint scheme. Underneath we've got this really light beige with some lovely folds going on under there. Beautiful. And then as we transition up to the leg, you can see we've got really obvious sculpted musculature there. Really nice. We always like to see sculpted musculature on our dinosaurs. And then we got one of those lovely creasy knees. And some lovely creases going back around the leg there. Really nicely sculpted musculature on this back leg. Really prominent. And then here it looks like he's pulled his stockings up. He's got some nice creased skin round here as it transitions into these bird-like feet. And they are absolutely enormous. Do you know what? I think they're bigger than the bull T-Rex that we are giving away on the main page at the moment. And I didn't think that was possible. I thought, you know, the bull T-Rex had the biggest feet of all. But no, I think these are actually bigger than those. So CollectA have done a fantastic job in making the biggest dinosaur figure we've ever reviewed on this channel. So if I turn this guy around so we can have a look at the back of his feet, you can see there's the little dew claw on the back. Beautiful sculpted lines all over the feet there, and there's a nice contrast between the upper part of the feet here, the scales, and the lower part, very bird-like. Really nice. And like I said, here's the faux rock base. I think that looks really genuine. I have to be honest. I think they've done a really good job there, and they've nicely airbrushed it and given it nice sort of contrast in the coloration. Around here you can see the plaque here with the Tyrannosaurus. 1/15 scale there. Very nice. And then as we go up to the tail, you can see we've got a slight seam line there, but this is quite normal on our dinosaur figures. It's happened with a lot of the ones we've seen because there's just so much of this dinosaur. Unfortunately it's not articulated in the tail, but we've got a beautiful colour scheme as we go along the tail here, and you can see it's a nice graceful flick up to the end. So underneath you can see here the CollectA logo, and it says it's made in 2008. And you can see actually there's some screw holes here, and they're Phillips head screws. So you might be able to remove this T-Rex from its base should you choose to. And I think that's really nice that they left that option there for dinosaur collectors. Looking at the sculpt from the underside, you can get a good look at the underside of the jaw there. Some of the more detail under the neck and on the arms. And just these beautiful folds under the torso. Fantastic. Really, really nice. And again, such a contrast in the paint scheme. You've got this really light beige going on, running on the underbelly of the T-Rex. Beautiful. Here's another angle of the T-Rex, and we really do think this one displays beautifully. My goodness, what a great figure. Beautiful. And from behind, just look at that. It holds up from all angles, it really does. Such a wonderful, dominating sculpt. Okay, so if we bring in the tape measure, let's just make sure of the size. So if I was just to measure it straight across like this, I'm looking at about, let's have a look, about 31 inches. So yeah, it's dead on. So we're looking there though at about, it's about 79 centimeters. So obviously the 93 centimeters is taking into account the bend in the body and the tail. So you're looking, you know, at about 79 centimeters, which is about 31 inches. So that's really cool. And in terms of the height, you're looking at about, well, in terms of the body here, you're looking at about 15 inches roughly, which is about 38 centimeters. So, and then with the tail, you're looking at about 19 inches, which is about 48 centimeters. So it's a really huge figure, and unless you've got one in the room, you really can't tell how big this thing is. It's absolutely huge. Okay, let's do something really exciting. I'm going to bring in the custom Lego Jungle Explorer that we recently reviewed on the channel, and I'm going to bring in our little custom Alan Grant minifigure to give you an idea of the scale, but also to show you how this T-Rex looks next to a Jungle Explorer, because I think it resembles the scene that we see in Jurassic Park when the T-Rex bursts out of the fence onto the main road. And if you've got the Kenner Series 1 Jungle Explorer, I think that would actually scale up much better than this Lego one, and you could recreate that scene from the film. Now, I don't know if CollectA, if that was intentional, but it's certainly something that I can imagine seeing and would look great as a big diorama. Last but not least, let's bring in the biggest T-Rex figure we've reviewed to date before this CollectA T-Rex, and that was the Bull T-Rex from Kenner in 1997. We are giving away this guy on the channel right now, so if you go to the homepage, you can check out the competition and make sure you enter. It's simple and free. But in terms of the scale, this CollectA figure just dwarfs the Bull T-Rex. The head must be nearly twice as big as this one, and wow, I mean the feet are bigger by about another half, so it just shows how big this CollectA figure really is. It really does dominate the room. And here's another look at those Leviathans next to each other. Look at that. Fantastic. Beautiful detail on that CollectA T-Rex. So there we have it, guys. That was today's look at the beautiful CollectA Tyrannosaurus Rex 1/15 scale figure. It's the biggest dinosaur figure we've reviewed on the channel to date, and it's a beautiful sculpt and wonderful paint job. We're really pleased to have this one on the channel, and thank you so much to CollectA, and in particular Esther from CollectA, for sending these over. We really are enjoying these figures, and we've got lots of amazing reviews for CollectA figures coming up, so do stay subscribed and stay tuned for more. Okay guys, as usual, rate, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.